Hey guys, Frosty the Dark here. Just wanted to kind of take a second to talk about the game that everybody's talking about right now, No Man's Sky, and some of the hype surrounding it and some of the potential misconceptions about the game. I've played it for about a day now, some odd amount of hours. And in that time I've had a lot of people asking. A lot of people actually knew I was going to be getting the game, so I've had a lot of people asking through PS4 messages and text. Does it live up to the hype is one of the big questions, and then the next question is it worth the money? And I guess my grand answer to that for all the people who were asking is, do you actually know what the game is? A lot of people, through no fault of their own, have developed misconceptions about how the game is actually going to play. Now with more videos out, I think people are kind of getting the picture a little bit more, but some of the people... It's been a bit divisive for the people who pre-ordered and picked it up on day one, because not a lot of people might have actually known how the game was going to work. I think a lot of people were kind of like expecting this space MMO where you were going to go around and you know, find other people and explore planets together and you know, trade hubs and you know, hub worlds and stuff like that. And Sean Murray have essentially said before the game was released that that is not what the game is about, simply put. The game is more about single player, emphasis on single player exploration. And that's kind of where I want to touch on promises that weren't necessarily kept. He was quoted in 4 or 5 interviews confirming that the game was multiplayer, one of which saying that the only way to see your player character is for another person to see it, and another statement that I saw saying that each player actually carries a server on them, and when 2 servers merge, you'll be able to see that other person. And I don't really know enough about it yet. I haven't actually seen the video, but apparently on Twitch, people have confirmed that you do not see players. 2 people were on the same planet, at the same building, looking at the same door, and they did not see each other, and apparently it was even a different day and night cycle. Now, without seeing the video, I guess I wouldn't know enough, but one of the things I will say is the game doesn't really tell you when you're playing offline. The game doesn't I don't believe it requires internet connectivity. And that being said, sometimes it'll just disconnect you from the servers, apparently. Like you'll go to the start menu and it'll just say you're disconnected. So that might have been the case for them and they simply didn't know. So that one may or may not be a promise not kept. I'm not entirely sure. But one thing that has definitely struck me is in one of the interviews, Sean Murray openly said that, you know, if you're looking at a planet from space and you see an island on that planet, you can go to that island and land on that island. And that is not entirely true either. A lot of times when you're entering the atmosphere, the world will just render in right there. And in a lot of cases, the planet will be completely different from what it looks like from space. I mean, you'll be up in space and the planet looks green and vibrant and colorful, and you'll get down to the planet and more often than not, it seems, at least in my gameplay, the planets have just been lifeless rocks. I've gotten a lot of planets with very little life on it, and I understand that that tends to vary, but probably close to 90% of the planets I've been on have been pretty much just dead rocks with some kind of environmental hazard. But I can't necessarily fault the game for that, because if it is all truly randomly generated, I might just be having some bad luck with the planets I actually land on. So now I kind of wanted to talk about some of the problems I've had while playing the game. First and foremost, the game actually crashes a lot. I had heard this before the game came out, that it crashes a lot. They did the patch on day one with a bunch of new additions to the game and apparently a bunch of bug fixes. And for my first probably 8 to 10 hours, I didn't experience any crashes at all. I thought they just had it all fixed. And then once I started getting kind of further into the game and entering like warp and stuff like that a little bit more frequently, my game just started crashing consistently. I would try the same thing. I'd try to progress in the same thing 2 or 3 times and it would crash 2 out of 3 times. and I came to a module on a wall, and every time I tried to take it, it would just crash my game. So eventually I had to just give up on that module on the wall, which was a bummer because I assumed that if it was making my game crash and none of the other ones did, it was probably something I hadn't found yet, which was seeming to become rarer and rarer. I also experienced a glitch where I landed at a space station and I got off my my ship, and the game saves every time you get off your ship. And I got out and I went to the Galactic Trade Terminal inside, and I found copper. And at least for my playthrough, copper has been a pretty rare resource. I haven't been able to really find it anywhere. And I bought out the entire stock of copper that they had, and then I spoke with the alien next to it, and I think I selected the wrong option, so I wanted to reload my save so I could get the right option. And when I came back in, I went on the Galactic Trade Terminal, and the copper was gone out of my inventory because I reloaded my save, but there was also none in stock in the Galactic Trade Terminal, as if I just bought it all and it wasn't in my inventory. So that was a little bit frustrating, because yeah, I haven't been able to find copper anywhere. Another thing I've kind of had an issue with thus far is I feel like space combat controls are pretty awful. And this isn't just me. I mean, I haven't really upgraded my ship a whole lot, so I tend to just avoid it. But even from some of my friends who have been playing, it's pretty difficult to fend off like 6 ships that just warp in and decide to start attacking you, when even one is a problem. I mean, they come in as AI, obviously, and they're essentially aimbots, so they do just one can do quite a bit of damage. And when 4 or 5 space pirates all decide to attack you at once, it's pretty much instant death if you can't get out of it, and it feels pretty one-sided. I don't know, maybe that's just lack of skill on my part. I don't know, maybe that's not a good thing to actually complain about, but it is quite the difficulty spike from anything else you'll do in the game. So I don't know if that's an intentional thing or not. So now I kind of wanted to touch base on some of the good things in the game and some of the things I've really enjoyed thus far. My friend and I made a joke saying that probably 50% of the game has just been sharing screenshots with each other, back and forth through PlayStation message, and that's pretty much what it's been. We just kind of share our screenshots and our experiences with each other, and that's been a lot of fun. I wish the game had a way to do that instead of having to take a screenshot and leave the game every single time. But it's been a lot of fun to just kind of see the difference between his game and my game. I mean, just in terms of wildlife and planets, and there might be one resource that he's just had the entire time, and I might not have even seen it yet, other than in like a trade terminal or something. And so I think that's really cool. I wish there was like player-to-player kind of trading, and I guess ultimately I wish there was like an actual multiplayer feature. I wish they made it, like, I understand that this wasn't their goal, but I wish they had. I wish they had made it so, you know, if you wanted to meet up with your friend, you could track your friend and, you know, make your way to his planet, and maybe trade some resources or something, and then maybe just be on your way, or explore the galaxy together. I mean, in a game like this, I feel like that should be a feature. But that's not what I want to talk about. I wanted to talk about some of the other cool things. I have seen, on pretty much every planet I've been to, I have seen very diverse life, which I think is really cool. Every single creature seems to be different in either some small way or some huge way, and I guess that's to be expected in a randomly generated scenario. But it's just really cool going from one planet and seeing little, you know, tiny rat things, and going to another planet and seeing blobs hopping around, and then going to another planet and just seeing dinosaurs, and scanning all of that and uploading it for, I don't really know who's going to end up seeing it. One of my impressions of what the game was going to be when it first came out, I thought it was going to be kind of like Space Dandy, in the sense that you find these things and it gets uploaded to some galactic information center, and then, you know, those records are now on file forever. Like, you've scanned this animal type. But I guess in hindsight, I mean, that would be kind of impossible for the literally infinite amount of life and plants and planets that are in the game. So That would have been kind of cool either way. I also really like that the game kind of harkens back to a time when there were no tutorials. Like, you know, you'd get into a game and you had to just learn the controls. And it's very much like that with No Man's Sky. I mean, nothing really tells you. You just kind of have to make your own path. I mean, for example, there's these antenna, and you can put in a bypass chip and use it to search for various things. And the game doesn't really tell you what the advantage of searching for a transmission or, you know, maybe a shelter would be. But, for example, the advantage of searching for transmissions might be that you find a crashed ship somewhere. And the game doesn't tell you that that's one of the potential things you might find. So, and to some people, they might look at that and not try it for a really long time until one day did. I mean, I don't think a lot of people know that you can just find crashed ships on the planet. You don't necessarily have to buy all of the ships, because ships that you buy are very expensive. That's another thing I really like too. There's a lot of ship diversity in the game. I haven't been able to afford some of the ones that I really like, but some of the ships are really cool looking, and some of them can get pretty big too. So I thought that that was really cool. More often than not, the ones I'll find crashed are barely better than the one that I have already, but it's still kind of cool because you can salvage parts off of them and stuff like that. I think that's a really cool feature. I also really like the monolith kind of stuff. I don't necessarily like that they're pretty much all the same. Finding words and all that, I mean, that's always really cool to me. I always really like finding ancient civilization kind of stuff and kind of playing the role of like a space archaeologist. But I do wish when you find like a ruin, I wish it would be like a ruined city or something. I mean, all of these planets that you're coming to, it just seems like you'll find like this one little monolith, and that's it in terms of like prehistoric or you know, predated life. It's just this one monolith, and it would be cool to find like actual buildings left over. And maybe some artifacts or something like that. But once again, if that's simply not what they had in mind for the game, then that's not what it is. And that's kind of where people ran into these problems, because they thought this and that, and the game really isn't all of that. So I guess, in summary, I can recommend the game pretty highly to anyone who knows what it is. Make sure you do your research before spending money on any game. It's been a ton of fun so far, and I intend to keep playing for a pretty long time. All of the downsides and all of the issues I've come across have not been enough to deter me from continuing to play it. The crashes get annoying, and the glitches here and there, sure, that's irritating, but I still want to go on my own path throughout the galaxy. I think that's what the game is, and that's, I think, its best feature, is exploring things and finding new things. I mean, you genuinely feel like you're the one who discovered this planet, and this planet is yours, which is really cool. So if single player exploration is something you're very much interested in, then check out No Man's Sky. It's a great game. And so I guess that's it. Catch you guys later on the next video.